It is time for Seth Rollins to turn heel already, and I don't say that as somebody who dislikes Seth Rollins or holds any ill will towards the man. For crying out loud, who doesn't love Seth freaking Rollins? We all love Seth Rollins. He is probably the closest thing we have in terms of just consistency and being able to get great matches out of everybody, the closest thing that our generation has to HBK. And that may be blasphemy to some people, but when you think about the longevity that Seth Rollins has had in the WWE, and over a decade now he's been working at the top of the card, putting on phenomenal matches. He's had numerous world championship reigns and everything in between. Seth Rollins is that dude. I don't think anyone would dispute that. And his most recent babyface run culminating in that Night 1 tag match with Cody Rhodes against Roman and The Rock, and then Night 2 coming out in his Shield attire and making Roman Reigns be distracted just a little bit, having Roman choose to finish his story of returning that chair shot to the back of his old Shield brethren, Seth Rollins, rather than ending Cody Rhodes' story. I mean, come on guys, that was cinema in its most pure form. Chef's kiss. Now that being said, I was a little disappointed to see Seth Rollins return so quickly after WrestleMania 40. Not that I don't love seeing the guy, but I think his character has gotten so stale that we needed a little break from it. So I was even more disappointed to see him return as that same old babyface, wearing the same old clothes, with the same old song that people love singing along to, doing his same old dances. I love Seth Rollins. I've already mentioned he's a great in-ring competitor, and the crowd obviously connects with him because we've grown attached to him over all these years. But Seth Rollins, when you think back to this past decade of dominance that he's had since leaving the Shield as a singles competitor, his most iconic moments to me are all as a heel. Let me explain. Think about that Money in the Bank cash-in at WrestleMania 31. Still, to me, to this day, that is the greatest cash-in of all time. It hasn't been topped. You think about that story of the Shield, Seth Rollins being the snivelly little sellout heel, feuding with Dean Ambrose. They had great matches, those Hell in a Cell matches, those no-holds-barred matches. Those two went balls to the wall crazy. And then you think about Seth Rollins kind of being Triple H's hand-picked chosen one, right? After Randy Orton, it was Seth Rollins. He took on the pedigree. He kind of became that character, and he was the hand of the King of Kings. He then went on an incredible run which culminated in him becoming a double champion. Yes, he was the WWE and United States champion simultaneously. SummerSlam, defending both those titles, that was peak Seth Rollins to me. And of course it was, because as a character, he was firing on all cylinders. He had J&J security. Seth was such a great cowardly heel, and that's what we're kind of lacking a lot of today. Everybody's a cool heel. Everybody's kind of a badass heel now. You don't have those coward heels that just got heat in the way that Seth Rollins did. You always wanted to see Dean Ambrose or Roman Reigns get their hands on him and give him his comeuppings, but it never really happened. While I do think that in time we will look back and appreciate the significance of Seth Rollins' most recent world title reign, as he successfully established that world title as the People's Championship, no pun intended, I don't think it holds a candle to the work he was doing in late 2014 through 2015 as the top guy in the company during a very important transitional period in WWE. You gotta remember, they had just lost Daniel Bryan to injury. They didn't know if he was ever going to wrestle again. CM Punk was gone. This was a new era, and Seth Rollins was being trusted as the guy to carry the torch. Yes, not Roman Reigns initially, not Dean Ambrose. Seth Rollins was the chosen guy out of the Shield, and he did it as a heel, and he did it masterfully, in my opinion. Just a sidebar, the cruel part of him doing his best heel work during that period is that he also had his most babyface moveset during that time period because it was pre-knee injury, so he was able to do things in the ring that he just can't do anymore. Seriously, go back 10 years ago and watch some old Seth Rollins footage. The guy was incredible. Not that he's not incredible today, but he was psychotically high-flying and just fun to watch back then. Fast forward from then to, 8 years later, whatever it was, I really appreciated his most recent heel run too, where he was adversary to Cody Rhodes and trolling him, coming out in his dad's polka dot attire, viciously attacking that bruised pec, and the night after that Hell in a Cell match on Raw, writing him off of TV by attacking him and not shaking his hand. I mean, Seth Rollins was so brutal as a heel. He could flip that switch. He could be goofy and then really turn it on. And that's just a level, that's that's some depth to his character that is lacking as a babyface. The only time you can get some raw emotion like that out of Seth Rollins now is if he's cutting a promo on CM Punk. And speaking of which, when he is talking to CM Punk, he's kind of playing as a heel. He's saying things that babyfaces don't say to other babyfaces. He's being the heel, because when you got two baby faces in the ring with each other, inevitably somebody's going to kind of act heelish, and Seth Rollins takes up that role beautifully because I think he's a natural heel. Now let's talk about some long-term storytelling. Seth Rollins and CM Punk go way back. If you remember correctly, the Shield initially were like this protective force for CM Punk, and it was kind of not spoken of on TV, but that was exactly what they were doing. They were coming out and helping CM Punk, bailing him out all the time. Now CM Punk is back, and love him or hate him, he's just not going to get universally booed, alright? He has a cult following of fans that are not going to leave his side. Seth Rollins, on the other hand, can flip that switch, like I said, and be the perfect antagonist to CM Punk. And the best villains of all time, they kind of have legitimate gripes. I mean, they have seeds of hate that are sown throughout years and years and years, and you can kind of see where they're coming from. Seth Rollins has legitimate gripes with CM Punk, and I think now's the time to flip that switch. Also, you get all these "We Want Roman" chants on SmackDown directed towards Solo Sikoa. Roman Reigns, the fans are begging to see him as a babyface. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns have yet to have that big match, WrestleMania main event, to put a stamp on that rivalry that's been brewing for over a decade now. And then there's Cody Rhodes, who has beaten Seth Rollins 3 consecutive times upon his return to the WWE. You know Seth Rollins could have some unfinished business there. There's a plethora of big name feuds for Seth Rollins, and I think they're all money, each and every single one of those. CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, I mean, even Randy Orton. They go back from their Authority days. Seth Rollins, he's on Raw now, but you know how the brands like to swap and flip-flop, and do brands even really matter at this point? We see guys appearing on Raw and SmackDown. If you're a big enough name, you get the pass, right? I think Seth Rollins has earned that right now. So yeah, that's my whole spiel there. I think Seth Rollins needs to turn heel, and I think we will see it before this year is over. What do you guys think? Are you just content with this Seth Rollins babyface run? Is he Teflon in your book? Is he in the same vein as John Cena and Randy Orton, where he just can't get booed now? Or do you agree with me? Do you want to see him get in this feud with Roman Reigns and settle the score once and for all? Do you want to see him turn on CM Punk and just beat him to a bloody pulp? Do you want to see him reignite that Authority feud with Randy Orton? Let me know in the comments, guys. As always, thanks for watching and listening to me rant and ramble. Do all the YouTube stuff for me if you will, and I will see you guys next time. Take care, everyone.